for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, we'll try to get the minutes out at a later date. There's no use of trying to do it here, so we'll skip right to, are there any revisions or changes, deletions to the agenda that you have in front of you?
Bloetscher has none.
Okay.
I have none. Dan Jaster has none.
All right. Emma, have you got any?
I have none.
Okay. Bert, you have none? Nor have I, so we can proceed with the agenda as as prepared. So we'll go right into the reports. We'll start off with the township items. Carl Bloetscher, could you give us a review of things that are happening with the township?
Right now, the walkthrough with C.E. Rains was done with Sohail Sabat coming to the Ferry Road Gauge Trail that has been purchased from the Tittle family. And that was walked with Mr. Rains, and he's going to have specific proposal for us regarding drainage. He was able to see the watershed, the issues with drainage, and the path being underwater on a regular basis, particularly in late winter and all of spring. So Sohail, the township engineer, is going to be making a specific proposal for that trail for culverts and drainage so that we can use it more during the spring and even in the late winter. The same thing was done with a walkthrough at the Meridian Woods Trail. We walked that trail, and Sohail was able to see the wear and tear that was caused by people going off the trail, even though there was a lot of growth. It was pretty obvious that there had been a lot of off-trail to try and avoid the mud and the standing water. He came up with some ideas about, instead of trying to do bridging at about $600 a foot, he felt that we could, in those areas where there is water runoff between typically the north side where we have the vernal wetland to the south side where there is a ditch that was cut by the township hired gentleman to come in with shovels and backhoes and to create a drain that goes down to Frenchman's Creek eventually. That was Charlie Campo and his company, Campo Brothers. And Sohail thought that if we go ahead and can bring in some large rocks and then put a membrane over them, we can build a trail on that that will be friendly, ecologically speaking. It will continue to allow the water to drain under the trail, and it would be much cheaper than the $600 a board foot we would build for a 10-foot wide bridge. And that would run into the thousands and thousands of dollars very quickly. I do have bad news to report. We had a Boy Scout that was interested in removing all of the junk and debris from along the north end and the east end of the woods. His project to remove that debris was turned down by the council because it did not have significant enough long-term benefit for improvement to the community. So I am meeting Saturday morning with another member of the Boy Scout troop to see if perhaps the troop might be interested in making this a project later in September. And I'm also going to talk with John Keim about where we can put that debris. You'll recall there were a number of tires. There was also a significant amount of metal back there, and what we can do to get rid of that. If need be, may end up trying to do something before to dump the junk so that we have the dumpsters there to get rid of it. But those are the two matters that I have to report. The Township Board will be meeting next on the 14th, that Monday, second Monday in September. I don't believe that there's going to be a meeting before then, but as you know, the new board will take over on November 19 and be sworn in, and we will into September. And that concludes my liaison report.
Okay, do you have any idea as to when Sahaya will be coming back with his report so that we can take some action, particularly on the Ferry Trail?
I have not, but my expectation is that I will be able to get a hold of him this week. He has not been able to call me, or has not called me, and or Dale, and I believe he has not spoken with you, Cliff, because we certainly would have talked about that. So I will give him a call later this week and try and get him to commit to something that we can work on, particularly with that Ferry gauge trail.
Yeah, I would like to put that at the top of the priority list as far as getting that trail complete, and so that maybe it can be used this fall. But that might be a stretch goal. But let's try to get this thing done as quickly but as properly as possible.
Very good. I will let you know when I have something further to report, Cliff.
Very good. Thank you. Okay.
Carl, this is John. Did I understand
Yes, sir.
you to say it would be November 19th that the board would have its first meeting?
That is when they are sworn in. The first meeting it's kind of it's a swearing in, and the first meeting is scheduled for 3 days later. I spoke with Supervisor-elect Budney, and he is looking long and hard about moving that back so that the new board can have a chance to study and get an idea what items are going to be on the agenda, be familiar with them, and know what they're doing before they actually start voting on something. So Mr. Budney had indicated he might try and push something back for later in November on that.
Thank you.
But we are tentatively right now scheduled. The swearing in for the new board will be November 19th, and then the next meeting was going to be 3 days later, which would be November 22nd, that Monday.
Okay, very good. Okay, anything else?
Well, I would also recommend that when we start getting some finalization with both of the projects there, the Ferry Trail as well as Meridian, that we try and include the new board members in a study session on that.
Absolutely. Right. It's a good idea.
And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you very much, Carl. Bert, could you talk to us about the what's new with the Nature Land Conservancy?
Sure. So, I don't remember if I talked at all about the photo contest for high school students that was completed in May, and the winning photos they're in our newsletter, which is shows up electronically on the GINLC.org news website, if anybody's interested. You know, without having Island Fest, we weren't able to display those to the public this year. So that's that. We did donate 2 scholarships to local students, including Emma Kronell, who was our liaison to the high school this past year, and also to Sullivan Cohen. And then coming up for the Conservancy, Sunday, September 27th, is an educational program, Insect Investigations. And so we have a naturalist to talk about the bugs in our area, and that will be held at the Airport Wildlife Refuge, which is just beyond the Gibraltar Bay unit of the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge on East River. So the refuge site is open for people to walk in, but not for us to have programs. So we are moving to a large open space where we can have that. So we're hoping that the public will come and learn a lot of things at that event, and that is going to be 1 o'clock on Sunday, September 27th.
1 o'clock.
Yep. that's about it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bert. I don't think Kyle is on board, nor is Pam Frucci.
I am actually.
Oh, Kyle,
Hello?
I'm sorry. Yes, Kyle.
No problem. Yeah, I'm on. No problem. Yes, we just had our recreation meeting last week, and some of the big items that were discussed were around the vote and approval for the installation of leads at Sunrise Park for water and sewer. That was approved. Peter Kantz of the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy came and explained some of the plans for Sunrise Park moving forward. Me personally, one thing I'd said was when a porta potty was installed there a little while ago, I think part of what we might have done better is communicate better with the neighbors and the rest of the township as to why that was needed and get more input on it before we did it. So while the water and sewer lead should be pretty straightforward, as the idea is to maybe have a bathroom there or something like that moving forward, I hope that we can have a better kind of public process for getting input and letting people know it's coming and getting feedback so that folks won't be surprised by it as that moves forward. But really thankful to the Grosse Nature and Land Conservancy for all the work that they've been doing there. You know, it really is becoming an important part of our island. And then the other thing was we did vote and approve to seek a request for proposal for the property located at 25555 West River Road. So that is where Smokies is currently. There was public discussion about the fact that Smokies has been having trouble paying rent there. While we all want Smokies to succeed, it is, the township, can't subsidize a restaurant where other restaurants are struggling too in that township. So they're doing the best that they can. We do hope they succeed, and it just makes good business sense to go out for a request for proposal as their lease comes up towards the end of this year. So I wanted to let folks know about that. And then another thing is at Centennial Farm, there's been kind of some miscommunication around who's responsible for maintaining the interior fences. The lease that goes back, I think, 10 years now, says that the township's responsible for the exterior fences, but Lutton Riding Academy is responsible for the interior fences. And at some point there was miscommunication around that. The township has been fixing the interior fences for a while, but Kim is trying to work with them, but she needed us to reaffirm that the original lease should be honored and the responsibilities there should be honored as that one comes up too. So that's been an issue, and Kim said very clearly that we might need some help, some volunteer help to maintain and paint and take care of some of the fences there. I know from my experience here at Westcroft and looking at fencing to try and keep some of the deer out from eating all our stuff. It's a hard thing and an expensive thing to maintain. But obviously very needed there, and it's a huge part of what makes it look so beautiful. So those were the three main things. But of course, open for questions. And I announced the Dump the Junk event coming up, and we'll continue to try to be a good liaison between open space and recreation.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kyle. Appreciate you.
Kyle, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Kyle, I have one quick question, if I might.
Sure.
When I drove East River today, I saw Campo Brothers crane there. Have they started the work on the drains then? Do you know?
I assume so. If we've that might be them, or maybe they're looking at it. But I'm not sure. I didn't know that they would have started so quickly after we voted for it.
They were definitely doing some landscape work there and pulling some dirt up. Okay. So I just assumed that was part of your project then.
Okay. I can ask him and see what's going on, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I'll take a drive-by tomorrow and see what it is. Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Okay,
thank you, Carl.
Is Pam Frucci online? If she's not, we'll just bypass the beautification committee then and maybe catch her later on. Emma, could you give us an update on the Grosse schools and what anything happening as regard to nature areas and open space and so forth?
Yep. So basically, when school got out in March due to COVID, we were working with Park Lane and Meridian to get plastic recycling bins installed at both schools, However, I think both events are on pause currently because we haven't been able to get in the school really.
Right.
So that's where we left off in March. And currently we're just working on recruiting members to help out with recycling at the high school and the middle school. And for those of you who weren't on the call when we introduced Andy, Andy Fulmer is our new president for the Environmental Awareness Club, and she is also going to be helping me as liaison on this board as well.
Okay.
Great. Welcome, Andy.
Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Emma and Andy, if you just send me a little email so that I can make sure I get your information right in terms of email address and so forth. So, Emma, if you could work with Andy on that and get that to me at your convenience, I would certainly appreciate it.
All right, I can do that for
Copy me
you.
on that too.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And also, that was John Meyer, and make sure that John gets a copy of that.
Okay.
In fact, on your reports for all of you, if you could just give us John, would you want to receive some sort of a real short synopsis of each one of these committee and activities?
If the committee chair would like to have detail in the minutes, yes, please.
Okay. So if you can do that, just jot down some notes and email them to John. I think that'll be of help to him. Okay. The next item is the Dan Jaster with the John. Dan, I want you to talk about what's going along with the bike path committee, and of course the big item coming later on in the agenda will be the dump to chunk. But anything new with regard to the bike path commission?
We've got quite a few things, Cliff, going on. First of all, the maintenance has already begun on the paths. We started with Horse Mill last week. We're looking to build a connection between, and we're still doing some research with our neighbors and stuff like that, from the Wildlife Refuge to Water's Edge. We're still working on trying to get an education on bike safety brought to the township. Due to COVID, it was canceled again this year. And then there's talk between, I believe it's Bert and Brian, about possibly working together to come up with one millage on some joint issues that we both might have. And from there, that's about basically what I have to report on BPAC.
Okay, that's fine, Dan.
This is Bert. Let me just add that I talked with Brian today about some other issues, and we did say that we definitely want to work the two committees together to talk about proposing a millage, one single millage. So that's... now we just have to...
You talk to Brian Loftus, you mean?
No,
Brian Pollock.
Brian Pollock, okay.
This would be something that would involve both committees to hash out in order to propose a millage to go on the probably 2021 ballot at some point, August or November.
Okay, that would be, I think Carl would be involved in that and trying to work out the logistics for that. Carl, if make sure, I would recommend we keep Carl informed on that so that he is aware of all the ramifications of that proposal and then can offer his advice and counsel on that, because Carl is a liaison for both committees.
Mm-hmm. All righty.
Okay. Very good. Anything else from anybody? John Meyer, as far as the welcome letters are concerned, is that project still on hold, John?
Yes, there is no report at this time.
Okay. It is my bill. You might want to check when you get some free time. Check with Donna and see if maybe we can reinstitute that. I'd like to get it back on stream as quickly, but more importantly, as properly as possible. So you might want to check with her and see if she has time to start in with that program again.
I will do that.
Okay. John, thank you very much. Anybody else? All right, the next item on the agenda will be public comments, and with our guest tonight, Bill, could you, anything you want to bring up to us?
No, I was just listening in on all the, and even in spite of the COVID, I think you're making progress and you're moving forward, and I think that's laudable, to say the least. But
well, it's difficult, that's for sure.
Absolutely,
okay.
But it's not impossible. So that's
okay.
The other piece. And I guess as soon as we can, make some decisions about either working with the Boy Scouts or working with other groups to help clean up some of these areas and get the trails in pretty good shape for the fall and moving into the winter. That would be helpful.
Okay. All right. Carl, one of the things that's been sticking in my mind since you told me about the fact that the leadership of the Boy Scouts would kind of disapprove their involvement with cleaning up the trash. Is there something that they can do with regard to a good, sound little bridge over the that low spot in the Meridian Trail?
I had suggested I had suggested a bridge might be something required from the east side of the property, that is coming in from East River across Wayne County's drain there. And that was an alternative if his secondary project was turned down as well. It's not that they disapproved it, they just felt that it did not have sufficient public benefit long-term to approve it. So, but I am going to be meeting on Saturday morning with a member of the troop, and we're going to look for the two things. One, for the troop to be involved in removing all of the stuff, the debris that we've identified. Theresa was very diligent going out and had it all mapped out, and when we did the walkthrough, it was very clearly marked. So that would be a troop project if we can talk them into that, and then there could be a scout project for the bridge over that Wayne County drain. I think would be very beneficial too.
All right. But that there's still leaves the question about on the Meridian Trail, that one low spot that we talked about. So I think that's something that we should keep on the radar, and if possible, do something on a permanent basis to clean up that, to make that area passable.
If I may ask a question, even though it's not public comment, I know this is maybe a little unusual. Is there any monies in the maintenance fund for a company to do some of that?
Yes. In other words, at the present time, we've got about $220,000 in the maintenance fund, and we've used that to remove trees that fall over open spaces or on the trails, and also to clean up and maintain the trails that we have. So right now, there's about $220,000 left in the maintenance fund.
Okay. Is there any reason why we're not doing it?
Pardon me?
Is there any reason why we're not utilizing that money for the cleanup?
We can, but we thought that the Boy Scouts could lend us a hand and do that. And if that falls through, then we'll have a fallback position to use the maintenance fund for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay, anything else before we move on? All right,
Yeah,
the next item. Pardon me?
This is Theresa Weeks. I said
Yes,
this is
Theresa.
Theresa Weeks.
Yes, Theresa.
I just wanted to clarify on the maintenance budget that you mentioned, is that that's not annual, that's until 2-year period left on that, or?
Well, that's, in other words, that is it's not the maintenance budget, Theresa, you're right. What it is a maintenance fund that was put into place some time ago with a millage, which has lasted now for about the last 13 years. And that's the amount of money that's left in the maintenance fund. And we establish a budget each year, and that budget has been running maybe $20,000 to $30,000 a year. So what I'm saying is that there's a considerable amount left in the maintenance fund of about $220,000. That is not an annual budget. That is a total fund.
Cliff, when does
Yeah, and
when does that millage expire? Cliff,
I'm sorry?
when does that millage expire?
The millage expired about 13 years ago. That's and then there was about $400,000 to $500,000 in the maintenance fund at that time, and right now it's gone down from about $500,000 down to about $220,000. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. Basically, we need to get more. We need to get a maintenance portion in the write-up when we go for a millage here.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's what we wanted when we go forward for the millage. We're trying to take a proactive approach on this millage issue, to have the millage approved at maybe a half a mil or a quarter of a mil, and that's is yet to be determined, to keep that as an ongoing thing, because quite frankly, as you correctly stated, that if we can't get volunteers to clean up that the trash, we're going to have to hire somebody to go in there and take it out.
Yes.
And
Totally
that's
agree.
why. Pardon me?
I totally agree.
Okay. All right. Is that Theresa? Did I answer your question or address your concern?
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to have that clarified for everybody on the meeting, so we're good.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And now I'd like to move on, if I could possibly do that, and that is the Dump the Junk program. And Dan, we're going to be having that program a week from this coming Saturday, so if you could tell us where we're at and what issues that you have and maybe some additional help that you need.
Okay, right now I need 4 more volunteers. Emma and Andy, if you are available, please let me know. John, and if you talk to Darryl, I can use your help too. We're moving right along. I've got an issue that was brought up to me today by one of the residents, and I think it's an important one. Priority has been withholding, having the residents hold any glass bottles that they have. I'm going to get a hold of Donna Deppa tomorrow and see if we can have the residents bring those glass bottles, even though they're going to start accepting it later in the month. If we could get rid of some of that stuff now, it could lighten their load come the middle of the month. The other thing is, again, people have to know that we're not taking any paint, electronics, railroad ties, hazardous waste, toilets, furniture, and mattresses. All that stuff is not going to be accepted at the gate. Everybody's going to have to show me their driver's license and prove that they're a resident. We don't want people coming in off the island. Right now, I met with Kroger, and Kroger is going to donate some sodas, some water, and some ice, and I'll pick those up on Friday, and then the ice on Saturday. I'm still trying to find somebody to donate some pizzas for us, like I did last year. And if that happens, if it doesn't happen, we'll just throw it against the budget. I mean, we're getting free dumpsters from Priority, so that'll soften the load. If anybody has any questions, I'll entertain them right now.
Okay, how many volunteers? Excuse me, go ahead.
I was going to ask Dan, are you satisfied with the publication in Grosse Connect, what we have in terms of the date, the times, and the items that are not going to be accepted?
Absolutely, it looks good.
Okay.
And I've been talking with Donna, and Donna's been talking with Priority. John Kime has been involved. Cliff and I last week put up some signs at Parkway and Meridian, and also Bridge and Meridian. John Kime is going to put up some signs at DPS Yard, and hopefully it's going to be done this week, if not the first part of next week. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, how many people do you have right now for volunteers?
Go ahead, Theresa. I didn't hear what you said.
No, this was Bert. I just want to let you know Peter Kantz is another volunteer from the Conservancy. So there's four of us.
Could you ask him if he could come in at 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Saturday?
Okay, I'll let him know, because he said he would fill in wherever you needed someone.
Hey, Carl?
Yes, sir.
Can you get a hold of Ute and see if she can, if her and her husband, I sent her an email, I haven't heard from her, if her and her husband are still planning to help us and have them come in at 12:30 on Saturday?
I will give her a call and remind her that they have been volunteered for 12:30 till 4. Yep,
that would be great. Then we're only down to one more person, and if we get some extras, if you talk to the Boy Scouts and they want to come by and earn some service hours, I'd be more than happy to help them. We are not letting any pickers come in and treasure hunt. This is just a dump. And everybody has to have a mask.
And we have made that clear on the signs that have gone up that there'll be no treasure, and everybody that's involved with the dump the junk, anybody that comes in to dump junk has to wear masks.
Yep, it's on the signs.
Right. So it looks like we got just about all the bases covered, but we need some more volunteers, and from what I hear, I think some of them will be forthcoming.
Sounds good. I think it's going to be a wonderful time. The weather's supposed to be, the temperature's supposed to drop next week, so that'll be nice, too. It won't be hot and muggy.
All right.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, Cliff, we're good.
Okay, thank you. As far as the Ferry Trail and work review, Carl and Bert, I think we talked about that earlier. Are there any more comments as far as the Ferry Trail from Bert or Carl?
No, not for me.
Okay.
I have nothing further.
Okay. Now, the Meridian open space with the trash, I believe we talked about that. And basically, what is our action plan there to go back after the Boy Scouts and to see if they can reconsider helping us remove some of that trash? Am I correct in that assumption?
I have two things on that. Theresa, did you have anything you wanted to start with?
No. You covered everything that we did when we went out for the tour. In terms of volunteers to clean up the woods if it falls through from the Boy Scouts, I think there's quite a few people in the neighborhood that are already expressed interest in helping with that. So I think, you know, for the most part, we won't need a lot of financial support on that other than the major, bigger, heavier items over by East River.
We also had Alex Bowl, who had been very interested in providing some equipment that would allow us to pull some of the debris out of there, certainly the tires and maybe the old Stevenson vehicle, Bill, if I can refer to it as that.
Yeah,
get that out of there and try and clean up all of that with a little bit of equipment he had access to. Alex does some contracting work, and I know he's working on his home right now. So I would propose to follow up with him after I speak with the scouts on Saturday.
Hey, Carl, is there any way some of that stuff could show up at the dump your junk? Because
that's one of the things that I would like to have dragged out of there. Certainly would be as much of the metal as we can for recycling, and even just get the tires out of there and have those removed somehow, because there's quite a few.
We are having somebody take care of the tires, so if you can get them out, I mean, even if they do it not this Saturday, but bring it over next Saturday, that'd be great.
That's my goal, and I'm hoping that Alex can come through for us on that. Otherwise, I plan on setting aside a date. I will talk with Bill and Theresa about what we can do about get some volunteers in there before the dump the junk and do that. But I want to try and work around Alex because he has the equipment that'll make it so much easier. But it's my goal to get a lot of the tires and the junk out of there certainly before that date.
Speaking of Cliff, speaking of tires, we do have a spot, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan. That'll be in the back portion where they can dump all the tires they need, and then we hire some tire rehab company to come in. I forget the name of it now, to come in and dispose of the tires. So they changed owners, and we do have somebody coming in. Hey, Carl, I'll talk to Donna tomorrow, and maybe she could talk to John Kine, but I'm sure they're not going to start picking those dumpsters up till Monday.
Good.
And every time I've gone by that DPS yard after hours, the gates have been open. So maybe we can work something out with the township to see if we can, even if they don't finish on Saturday, if they finished on Sunday, if they can bring them over and stack them with the rest of the tires.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to be traveling tomorrow, but I will try to get a hold of Donna on the phone tomorrow and see what we can do. And I'll also see what I can do about that glass issue.
Okay. Dan, if you need any help from me on that, since you're going to be out of town for a couple of days, don't hesitate to call, okay?
Oh, I'm just going to be gone tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anything else now as far as the opening up the East River area? I got a call from the next item. Darryl's not here tonight for whatever reason. We do have some trash issues on Centennial Farm, and it's just I've walked it a couple of times, and it's something that we can go in there and clean up rather quickly. And Darryl's going to get a hold of TNT this week to see if they can come in there with a small truck and just pick up some of that trash. And I'll check with Darryl on that.
Hey, Kyle, are you still on? Kyle?
Hey, Mark.
No, Cliff, another option would be try to get a hold of Kim. I believe the recreation, the maintenance garage over at Water's Edge has a front-end loader. And if we could get them to help us get rid of some of that stuff and be a benefit to them and to us.
Yeah, I think TNT has a front-end loader sometime.
Yeah, but you're gonna pay TNT. Why don't we use our own resources if we can and save that money for the cleanup of these paths?
All right.
Sure.
I'll check into it.
I can't speak for I can't speak for Kim, but I know she's always really great at responding if folks want to reach out to her about using that.
Okay. All right. I'll check with Darryl tomorrow then.
All right. I'm just trying to. I would rather use the money to clean up the paths than use it for the farm. I mean, especially since the farm is underneath the recreation.
No. This is the Centennial Farm Trail, we call it. In other words, the Centennial Open Space area is located west of the Centennial Farm and runs from the west end of the Centennial Farm almost all the way to close to the public safety building. And that trail makes a loop, and there's some areas in there that need to be cleaned up. Let me check with Darryl tomorrow, and I'll also check the recreation area, see what we can do.
Okay, just a thought.
Yep. Okay, before we leave, is there any other item that anybody wants to discuss that maybe we haven't discussed thoroughly or maybe have failed to talk about?
I did want to put out an idea, if I may.
Yes.
This is Kyle. I think it's a great idea to possibly put the bicycle path and open space millage together. I think they both work together very well, and making that case together would be good. And it just reminded me, this is nowhere near millage money, but it's an idea that I wanted to propose. I don't know if now's the time or who to speak to about it. But when I lived in Cambridge in the Boston area, they had a system for registering bikes with the police. And I was wondering if, it's a way to get fees, to encourage bicycle safety classes, that sort of thing. So, again, it'd probably be small change, but would be a way to kind of encourage people to understand that, this is money that goes into the system, encourage safety. It could even be like expanded to kayaks and other things like that. All completely voluntary, of course, but the police would have that on hand, so if they ever see a bike or a kayak anywhere, they'd know who it belonged to. But it's just an idea that I want to propose for a way to possibly bring in more fees and just encourage people to use the resources around us as best as we can. So happy to speak to whomever about it that I can, but
I think that's something that the Bike Path Committee can be involved with. Dan, what do you think?
I think so. I mean, when I grew up in the city, we had to register our bikes. And you had like a little tag on your bike that showed it was registered. If it was stolen or it was lost or whatever, they knew who it belonged to. I think it's a good idea, Kyle. I really do. I mean, I see these bikes parked, especially in here in Hawthorne. These kids, they park them and they walk away and they forget that they brought their bike down to the pond to fish. And then they come back the next day and they pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Thankfully, I don't think we have too big a problem with stealing here, but so that that was a big incentive in Cambridge, is if your bike got stolen, the police knew it was yours. But in general, I think it'd just be an opportunity to, again, voluntarily encourage people to register, take bicycle safety classes, boating safety classes, whatever. So I'll bring it up to Brian Pollock, but just made me think about that, and that's a good idea. So
I'll bring it up to Brian. Kyle, I'll bring it up.
Is there any other items that we haven't discussed? Anybody?
Well, I just want to thank Bill Stevenson for participating tonight, and looking forward to working with him as we clean up that area. Meridian Woods and Theresa, I think, should be recognized for the detailed site analysis she did. They really had flags out there marking everything, and it was very easy for people to look at and see, so that's going to be a real benefit when we're able to get the equipment in there and start removing stuff. I just wanted to acknowledge those two people as being good stewards for the Meridian Woods. That's just excellent.
Absolutely.
Good point.
Could you let us know as quickly as possible? I'd like to get something going on before the snow flies on that issue, and if for whatever reason the Boy Scouts cannot support their people getting into that area, let us know so that we can take an alternative approach to it.
Very good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else? If not, do I have a motion?
I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. I will thank you very much. I know this is very trying times, but we'll try to. In my own personal opinion, the biggest thing in my mind right now is that Ferry Trail. Get that issue resolved, and get Ohio's report on it, so that we can get the preliminary work done, so that we can finish that trail. I'd like to have that all done before the snow flies.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Anything else? Carl, could you stay on the line for just a minute? And John, I got to talk to you about some of these minutes. I'll be calling you in about 15 minutes. Is that all right?
Fine.
Okay. Thank you very much for staying on the line, and thanks for all the work that you folks do. I appreciate it.